He had a one-story house. All his ceilings came down. And our business was 100 years old, and we had 5.5 feet of water in our family business. I have 3 children. My youngest daughter rented. She was on the second floor, so her first floor of the apartment's built, but her second floor didn't. One of my sons didn't flood. He was in Metairie. My other son lost his house too. 80% of us had water, some higher, some lower. You know, we always thought we were like a saucer. You know, high at the river, natural high at the lake, man-made high, but we found that we're variations. So we weren't really sure who had water, but I did have this view. Somebody took a picture that came by boat to rescue people, sent it to me by email, and I could see that the stop sign by my house was underwater, so I knew. My husband had a collection of albums, and we built our house when my kids grew up. Have 3 children. My daughter was in college, my youngest one, and we built this den where we could put his thousands of albums alphabetized in the wall. And he thought, well, maybe up to A to M would be saved. Then he went, oh, maybe A to F. And by the time we got here, we're saying maybe the Beatles will be all right. You know, but see, the water, not only did it come in, but then it was closed up for a month, so the water just, the mildew and mold climbed on everything. So that's what happened. So we just go straight. When they let us back in, we finally had to get shots. We had gloves and masks, and y'all know, y'all that have done this, we had to tear out the sheetrock, throw out everything onto the lawn, get down to the insulation, leave it to the studs, and just leave it boarded up until we could get to it. Because everybody needed to get a contractor. There was no way. And so then we had nowhere to live. So we slept in 14 places. We went from Baton Rouge to Houston for 2 weeks. Then my sons were moved to Dallas for 2 months for their business. So they went to Dallas. Then we left there and we went to see my sister-in-law because we couldn't get back home. She was moved to San Antonio. And then we caught Rita and we couldn't come back. And then when we got back, friends took us in that didn't flood. We lived with them for 2 months. And then finally, we went from pillar to post, all different places, because their kids would come in for Thanksgiving, would have to leave. They came in for Christmas, would have to leave. So they gave us the timeshare. We went to a hotel. We went to other friends. And in February, we got a little double with one of my sons, and we lived there for 2.5 years till we could get back into our house. But I'm back. And I got to tell you that I'm okay. We were fortunate. We had savings that we could use to come in before we got some insurance money. The insurance money was hard because water, you don't get insurance homeowners. If it comes from the roof, you get some. If it comes up, if you don't have flood, I had flood. Thank goodness I had flood. It's never enough though. But I'm back and I'm healthy and my daddy made it and I'm glad I left. Now look on the left, this interstate right here. We're going to be taking a right at this light, Tim. Look at the painted pictures in the middle of this interstate. This was a green grassy area that was lovely. They ran the interstate through it. Of course, it hurt the neighborhood terribly, but they started hiring artists to paint scenes of New Orleans, people, places, and things. In fact, the pink background, that's actually Fats Domino to your left right there coming up with his piano. And then we'll take a right here, and this will put us back onto Esplanade. So this is the avenue that if we took a left, it would take us to the river and the backside of the quarter. And taking a right, this will take us over to the cemetery and through, we're coming into, this is an area called Treme. If you haven't watched it on HBO, it didn't win any awards. We love it. It's wonderful. All about the musicians in New Orleans and the restaurateurs and what happened after trying to get back after Katrina. Look at this beautiful house on your right. This is an historic one. It dates back to the 1850s, the Dufour Baldwin Mansion. And a lot of this is the beautiful this was their main avenue for the Creoles. And as I was going to tell you, as I interrupted myself, and I'm going to start again, that a Creole was a child born in the colony. So originally when the French came here, they were French, but their children born here were French Creoles. The Spanish come, their children born here are Spanish Creoles. We have many what we call in French, gens de couleur libre, free people of color. We had a huge community of free black people, and we also had enslaved people that were brought here to work the sugar plantations, the cotton plantations, North River, and we had lots of Indians that were here before anybody. So the children, that if they were born in the colony, whether they were European, whether they were Indian, whether they were African, if they were mixed born in the colony before the Americans took over, they were Creoles. That's why we say a Creole was not a race, it was a culture. Over the years, people started using it as a blending of people. And they just dropped, the French Creole, the Spanish Creole, the Creoles of color. Now today, we cook Creole gumbo, and we have Creole tomatoes we grow. It's something native of this area. Look to the right, this pretty house, this white column one. Look in the front door, and then you can see the light to the back door as we pass. That's a center hallway. The other one has 2 doors. They go right down the middle. Center hallway houses were built for the climate. You had double parlors on one side, you had your bedrooms on the other, and you had doors that led from the front of the house to the back. So if you open both of those doors, you get that nice cross breeze right through the middle of your home. Remember, y'all, this rain brings cool, and hopefully it will stop. The weatherman, you know how weatherman, you never know. That's the only person that can tell you something and not lose his job if he's totally wrong. Because my husband asked yesterday, we did a fundraiser yesterday for a friend, and he said, look at the weather, see what they say. I said, are you kidding me? I'm going to tell you what they say. We just have to see what's going to happen. You just don't know, because in the summer they build up, and the humidity, and
it's nice.
yeah, it's just you don't know. We didn't have rain for so long, and now look, we've had it for days continuously. Look how lovely on the left, these painted purple, pink, yellow, green. The Creoles love color. This was a Creole neighborhood. The Americans painted everything white. And I want to tell you about the Americans after they got here, where they settled. But I want you to keep looking to your left, because coming up, the flags on this house on the left, this was the Degas house. And there are 2 today. And Edgar Degas, his uncle lived here, Mr. Musaw, and he visited and painted here for 6 months. Keep looking to your left, because the stuff in the yard coming up, there's bricks and aluminum things. That is art. And we say art is in the eye of the beholder, because he considers it art, but his neighbors don't. And then the next thing I want to show you on the left is this big building. It's a public school called John McDonough. This man came from Baltimore, Maryland as a young man. He made a fortune in sugar, and when he died, he didn't marry, and he left his will. He asked that his slaves be free, his money be divided between the city of his birth and the city where he made his fortune, New Orleans, and that the money be used to build schools for the poor. And we started off with McDonough number 1, and we worked up to McDonough 42. Yeah, and in fact, coming up a little further, we used to have McDonough 28. What happened since Katrina, and I have to tell you, this is a good thing, that a lot of our schools were closed, and when they started reopening, they were turned into charter schools. And the charter schools are making such a difference in New Orleans. So sometimes bad brings good, and this has definitely brought good. McDonough 28 is now McDonough Military Academy. No, it's not. It's McDonough. Well, I'm getting that wrong. It's McDonough. It's called City Park Academy, because we're getting close to City Park. It's an elementary school. The grades have gone up. A lot of Teach America students, coming here. A lot of smaller classrooms, businesses that have taken them over, universities that have taken them over. Amazing the difference in our school system since Katrina. So I'm seeing a lot of good there. And it's taken so long to get some of that FEMA money for our schools and our playgrounds, but it's coming through finally in my neighborhood. Actually, my kids went to a public school in my neighborhood, and the school they're building now, I'm telling you, it looks like it could be a wonderful, huge high school. It's just gorgeous. So I'm really excited about it. Leaving Treme, crossing into another Faubourg. Faubourg meant false city or suburb. This is another neighborhood. This is Faubourg St. John. And as we go along St. John, you'll notice that a lot of these homes will be angled onto the street. Now, when you see a little piece of land on your left, that's a pocket park. You see a little piece of land on your right, that's a pocket park. And the pocket parks were left green for the neighborhood, and the neighborhood associations keep the lawns cut. Coming up on your right, on the corner, you'll see a sign, and this is the McDonough School that has been turned into a charter school. And the bars are to keep people out, not to keep the kids in. Keep looking to your right. One of my favorite homes getting a paint job. Second one off the corner here. That's a center hallway, but the style is Queen Anne. But look at this house as we pass it. The length of that house, 86 feet long, 12 feet wide is the main hallway. A single guy lives up there. And if it's interesting, it's higher than the others. The others are a few feet high. This is a ridge. We're on a ridge of higher ground. This area did not get that much water. High enough that these houses didn't get water in them. On your left, this is the Hare Krishnas. You know that religious sect? They live here. It's a commune. They all live together. A big orange one. And I have to tell y'all, if you want to come back to New Orleans, every weekend we have a festival. In fact, every weekend we have more festivals than weekends. But if you want to come for the Jazz and Heritage Festival, look down this street to your right. It goes right to a fence. And behind the fence is the racetrack. That's the New Orleans Fairgrounds back there. So that is where racing starts on Thanksgiving, and it runs until around Easter. It gets too hot in the summer, they close the racetrack down, and then we get ready. The last weekend in April, the first weekend in May, every year, that's where the Jazz Fest is held. And on your left, another pocket park where people hang out for the neighborhood, little festivals here. And then look down this street to the right, and you'll see the back gate of the fairgrounds. That's where you go in and come out for the back entrance. That's the barns back there. Now, back across the street, coming up, there'll be a little pink house. And this house is a style that we call a Creole cottage. It'll have 4 openings across the front, a pitched roof. It's cut into 4 rooms. And they had workrooms across the back. Then the next little house with the red shutters is a single little shotgun. And the yellow one next to it we call a camelback, because it's got the hump in the back. The story was you were taxed on the street, so you built the room in the back. You had another room you weren't taxed on. That's as the story goes. I've never seen that documented. Now, what we're going to do, Tim, is we're going to pull up, because the bus is going to be coming behind us. So we're going to go up past these trees, and we'll pull our bus up and pause by the cemetery on the right just for a few minutes, and then we'll go to our rest stop. So if you want to just, I don't know about if these are too low. If they're not, we'll pull over right past them, and we'll pause right here on the right. You can get a picture right there.
Which cemetery is
this? I'll tell you all about it. We'll pause right here, and we don't want to go further than this because the wall votes I want you to see. Okay.